It's Friday, November 6, 2015, and let's talk about what happened this week over at xdadevelopers.com. Apologies in advance, 3D printer is running, taking longer than expected. Moving on. First up, big news, Chainfire has released a method for rooting Android 6.0 Marshmallow that does not actually require modifying your system partition, just modifying the boot image. He says that doing it this way makes it cleaner, easier to unroot, easier to update, and so on. It's still a bit of an experimental process, so there could be some bugginess to doing it this way, but do head on over to the SuperSU beta thread if you want to learn more about it. I haven't really said anything about it here yet, but another bin test of the Nexus 6P has shown up here on YouTube. From what I've gathered so far, there are concerns, just as there were with the iPhone 6, that there's a structural weakness in the Nexus 6P, and hopefully Google and Huawei are now well aware of it and are looking into it. I'm not really going to go much deeper into it than just this. You didn't buy a flip phone, it's not supposed to bend that way. Proof of concept is all well and good, but I think that once is probably enough. Nailed it, move on. Oppo rolled out a new version of ColorOS to the Find 7, bringing it up to version 2.1.5i stable, and they've announced that this is going to be the last version of ColorOS for the Find 7. From this point on, they're just going to be focusing on building AOSP for it, which is a much better option in my humble opinion. In a bit of bad news, Android Central did an interview with BlackBerry's president of devices, and apparently the bootloader on the BlackBerry Priv is not going to be able to be unlocked. Challenge accepted. Mobile security firm Lookout figured out that since certain apps can very easily exploit your device to gain root access from a user's perspective, it's certainly possible that a malicious app could do the exact same thing. And apparently there are over 20,000 apps, usually legitimate apps, that have been ripped out of the Play Store, and then those apps have been repackaged, had some exploits and some nasty adware placed into them, and then they've been deposited into third-party app stores so that they can do all of those terrible things. So I guess the moral of the story here is just make sure you know who you're getting your apps from. If you do end up with one of these Trojans on your device, you can try to remove the infected app if you know which one it is, but since they can't really be detected with any sort of antivirus software right now, you might have to go as far as reflashing the stock firmware on your device. So again, just please be cautious when you're installing new apps to your device. Speaking of security exploits though, Google apparently has a security team called Project Zero, and within a week, they've managed to find 11 exploits on the Samsung Galaxy S6 Edge. Luckily, Samsung has jumped on it and already patched 8 out of those 11, and the others are supposed to be fixed sometime soon. The OTA for Android 6 on the Google Play Edition HTC One M8 started rolling out this week, and a URL to download it was made available. So if you've got that device, go ahead and get ready to get some Marshmallow on it. CM 12.1 started rolling out for the Eureka and Eureka Plus this week. Official nightly builds of CM 12.1 for the International and T-Mobile LG G4 variants are now available as well. Twerp for the Nexus 6P has been updated, bringing in the SuperSU update we mentioned earlier, the one that doesn't touch the system partition, and also adding in support for decryption of user data from within Twerp. XDA-recognized developer Flar2 figured out a way to enable double tap to wake on the Nexus 6P by just using a custom kernel, and it looked like you could just echo a feature into it, so you may not even have to have a custom kernel. Either way, if that's a feature you've been missing out on, check out the post in the forum. XDA senior member Poppy92 figured out a way to enable Band 12 LTE support, including voiceover LTE support, on the Nexus 6P as well, using only fastboot commands, and he's made a guide available with download links. XDA-recognized developer Herna released an early build of OmniROM based on Android 6 for the OnePlus One. I'll say that again, early build, so don't go into this expecting it to be 100% stable quite yet. XDA senior member Vlasp released a guide showing you how to install the exposed framework on the Amazon Fire tablets without actually needing to have a custom recovery. Very convenient. XDA senior member Bobby060 and his team released a guide showing how to enable the Camera 2 API on the new Moto X devices, which adds in support for RAW images, as well as adding in some more manual functionality, but do make sure to read through it to see all of the pros and cons. Some things do get disabled along with that. And Xenon HD ROM was released by Team Horizon, bringing Android 6.0 to the LG G3, although, again, this is to be considered experimental. Jack did a review of the Honor 7 in an article over on the portal, so if you want to see his thoughts on it, links down below. Forums for the newly announced Asus Zenfone 2 Laser are now available. And a whopping 5 other videos were posted to XDA TV this week. Episode 5 of the XDA/Android podcast was posted. I did the last video in the Best Phones Under $100 series, and then 3 videos I made while I was at DroidCon were released as well. But you know what? That's gonna be about all from me for today. You can find the links to all of the things that I talked about down in the video description as usual, as well as the links to my YouTube channels. Remember, if you like this video, please do leave us a thumbs up down below the video. We definitely appreciate it, and subscribe to receive all of our videos as soon as they become available. Thanks so much for watching, and we will see you next time.